Can you believe there are actually people on this planet that think that DeAaron Fox isn't a star? They really exist. Well, I don't know what ground they have to stand on now. DeAaron Fox follows up his 60-point historic night with a 49-point performance 24 hours later. A combined 109 points in 2 games, and that puts him in the most elite of company. I'll explain right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all season long. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. And regardless of who you're rooting for, regardless of the frustrations in both games, regardless of the fact that the Kings, thank God, lit the beam tonight, but we're 1-1 in these 2 games. All the extremities of the last 48 hours aside, can we just take a moment to appreciate what we have witnessed from DeAaron Fox in the Golden One Center the last couple of nights? Special doesn't even begin to describe what this man has been doing. And really, it started on Wednesday. DeAaron Fox's performance against the Phoenix Suns, while it wasn't a 60-point night or a 49-point night, that's where it started, because Luke Laux, one of the Kings' assistant coaches who works very closely with DeAaron Fox, Luke challenged DeAaron to get downhill and touch the paint more. Since that challenge, DeAaron Fox has been unstoppable, unguardable, whatever you want to call it. There is not a soul on either of these 3 teams, any of these 3 teams that the Kings have played over the last 3 games that had any chance of stopping DeAaron Fox. Really, the fact that the Kings aren't 3-0 with the 3 performances DeAaron Fox has given the Sacramento Kings is pretty crazy, all things considered. And it's certainly not DeAaron Fox's fault. He leads the Kings to a 121-117 victory over the Utah Jazz. Certainly more stressful than it needed to be. There are built-in excuses like second night of a back-to-back, following up a overtime performance and a very emotional and dramatic NBA Cup loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves in this building on Friday night. But all that is just noise, right? Because what this game was tonight was a extremely, and I mean extremely, shorthanded Sacramento Kings team missing Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, and Malik Monk. An extremely shorthanded Kings team putting together a roster that was once again carried by DeAaron Fox to a victory in this game. 49 points, 16 of 30 from the field, over 50% shooting, 49 points on 30 shots is stupid efficient. Back-to-back games of huge scoring performances on super efficient numbers. He also went 14 of 19 from the free throw line. First off, the fact that DeAaron Fox got to the line 19 times is excellent because we know how good he is or how capable he is of drawing fouls. He doesn't always get the whistle. He got the whistle tonight, although I will say the whistle was terrible, period. I'm going to talk about later in the podcast how terrible this officiating performance was because it was quite literally one of the worst and most confusing I have ever seen. I will get into that later on in the show. And actually, the free throw shooting is funny because Fox missed 5 free throws, right? That would have put him over the 50-point mark, would have made the Kings' margin of victory a little more comfortable. And he tweeted after the game, before he talked to the media, he tweeted, "My bad," with like a little like hand on the forehead emoji or something like that. And he tweeted that because of the missed free throws, because apparently Fox shared this with us in his post-game press conference that DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, and Trey Lyles were all giving Fox crap in the locker room because of the amount of free throws that he missed, which stopped him from making even more history than what he already made. In addition to all the points DeAaron Fox scored, he had 9 assists and a couple of steals. Again, Just an unbelievably incredible performance. Like, remember where you were, right? Because this is history. Not only Sacramento Kings history, not only Kings franchise history, 109 points in 2 games. He's only the 3rd player ever, and I mean ever, to do that. The 2 guys that he joins, Kobe Bryant and Wilt Chamberlain. Think about that. Think about that company. DeAaron Fox has done something that LeBron James has never done. Michael Jordan has never done. All that Steph Curry has ever done. All of the phenomenal scores that this league has seen over the last 20, 30 years. None of them, other than Kobe Bryant and Wilt Chamberlain, have done what DeAaron Fox has done over these last 2 games. That is sensational. It is undeniable. Like, there's no other way to put it. And he does it on a night where the Kings needed every bit of it, right? I promise you he was exhausted after yesterday's game. And he actually shared with us a little bit, like when he got to shoot around this morning and they were going through shoot around, he's like, oh man, I really started to feel kind of that fatigue. Didn't matter. He fought through. Domantas Sabonis misses his first game since April of 2023. DeMar DeRozan out for the second straight game with his back injury. Sabonis also had a lower back injury. Malik Monk missing his 4th straight game. He's not due back until a couple more games from now against the Oklahoma City Thunder next week, or the following week, I suppose. So the Kings needed every bit of DeAaron Fox's leadership and star power tonight, and he gave it to them. There are people not only that don't think that DeAaron Fox is a star, there are people, including some accusations that I've read in my comment section, I've seen here in Sacramento and heard here in Sacramento, that think that DeAaron Fox doesn't care enough. What does this tell you? This tells me that DeAaron Fox sure as hell cares about winning when he's willing to go out there and put together these kind of efforts on back-to-back nights when the cards were stacked against the Sacramento Kings. I know the Utah Jazz aren't a good basketball team, but they're still an NBA team, and the Kings were missing not just 3 important players, arguably 3 of their top 4 players they were missing tonight. And DeAaron Fox carried the load for all of them, and he got going right from the get-go, right? He had 18 points in the first quarter, a perfect 7 of 7 shooting from the field, including 3 of 3 from three-point range. He was sensational, but he got some help. Thank God he got some help. I talked about it after last night's game. I imagine a lot of the Sacramento Kings, if not the entire Kings roster, felt like they let DeAaron Fox down last night because he had a 60-point performance and the Kings didn't get enough from anybody or really everybody else to get him that win. Well, 2 guys in particular stepped up in a major way, but there's a couple of honorable mentions that I want to get to as well. Kevin Huerter had a great bounce-back performance after a really tough night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And when we found out that Sabonis was going to be out tonight, in addition to DeRozan and Monk, immediately my mind went to Kevin Huerter. Was like, okay, the Kings need something big from Kevin Huerter tonight. 18 points, 6 of 14 from the field, but 5 of 12 from three-point range. 5 3-pointers from Kevin Huerter. Fantastic. You'll absolutely take that. Did some other things as well, but we're going to focus on the scoring. And then Trey Lyles. He got the start tonight. Started at the 5 for the Kings. 17 points on 6 of 9 shooting from the field. He also had 5 3-pointers. He went 5 of 7 from three-point range. So Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles helped space the floor, knock down big threes. The Sacramento Kings had 19 threes as a team tonight, which is the most so far this season. So that's 100% a welcome sight to see. The three-point shot was falling, a large reason for that. I mean, 10 out of the 19 threes came from these guys. DeAaron Fox had most of the remainder of them. But Jordan McLaughlin had a pair of threes too, including a three-pointer in the fourth quarter that didn't put the game away necessarily, but gave the Kings the separation they needed to ultimately put the Utah Jazz away. It was a huge shot, caught it in the corner, knocked it down without hesitation. Jordan McLaughlin tonight, 6 points, 2 of 4 from three-point range, also had 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. Third straight game where McLaughlin's gotten minutes, important, impactful minutes, and he has been noticeably a boost for the Sacramento Kings for the third straight night. You love to see that. And then we saw meaningful minutes for the first time tonight from Kings two-way player Isaac Jones. And I thought Isaac Jones played great, all things considered. 6 points, 2 of 2 from the field, 2 rebounds, 1 block, did have 4 fouls, got into foul trouble kind of quickly. I think he picked up like 2 fouls in 3 minutes when he first started. But look, First meaningful minutes in the NBA, playing against the top guys on the Utah Jazz at the time. Like, there's a growing factor to it. There's some growing pains. But ultimately, his physicality, his athleticism, his size, you could see how much of a difference it made for the Sacramento Kings and how much the Kings needed it tonight. He had some great moments, including a couple of really good two-man game moments between himself and DeAaron Fox. So I wanted to make sure to shout out Jordan McLaughlin and Isaac Jones. What they did tonight is going to be brushed under the radar a little bit, but I noticed it, I saw it, and it did play a part in the Sacramento Kings being able to win this game. But unfortunately, not everything was sunshine and rainbows, right? We got to talk about two players and the really bad nights that they had. And they're two of my favorites, one of them being Keegan Murray. We'll get to that here in just a second. Before that, today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. This month is all about gratitude, and along with the people in your life that you appreciate and that you need and that you shout out all the time during Thanksgiving, there's someone that we don't thank enough. That's ourselves, right? It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything and get through every day in this crazy world. It isn't easy for all of us, no matter what you are going through. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to everybody in your life, and that includes yourself. Your mental health is so important, especially during the holidays. Look, sometimes the holidays can be pretty tough for people mentally, regardless of what you're going through. No matter if you're dealing with serious tragedy, which I always encourage anybody going through serious tragedy to seek the help that you need, or you're just trying to get through life and there's little things that weigh you down, it is worth seeking help and talking to a licensed professional. It is worth giving therapy a try. If you're thinking of starting therapy, try BetterHelp. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. You know how much I love the guy, and I sing his praises every chance that I get. But I would be a poor journalist, and I would be bad at my job if I simply ignored the bad and only focused on the good when it came to Keegan Murray. And tonight, as many of you pointed out on my social media, and many of you demanded that I talk about Keegan Murray's struggles tonight, and rightfully so. Keegan Murray tonight was a big letdown. 5 points, 2 of 6 shooting from the field, 1 of 4 from three-point range, 6 rebounds in 39 minutes. 6 shots in 39 minutes. I don't think he took his first shot until like the second quarter. 6 shots in 39 minutes on a night where you're missing Sabonis, DeRozan, and Monk. Outside of DeAaron Fox, Keegan Murray is the best player on this roster. The Kings needed him to step up, and to be completely honest with you, he didn't. Now I know, because I say it many, many times, the amount of responsibilities that Keegan Murray is handling outside of scoring the basketball cannot be ignored, right? He spent the vast majority of this game guarding Lauri Markkanen. Did a relatively good job, right? Last night, spent the vast majority of the game guarding Anthony Edwards. Did a relatively good job. That he has that tough assignment every single night, and of course, that takes a toll. He's also being asked to rebound the basketball more, and yes, I'm sure that takes a toll. But what has happened to rookie year Keegan Murray? And I'm not saying that the Sacramento Kings should revert back to just having Keegan be on offense a catch and shoot, stand in the corner, or stand on the wing three-point shooter. But Keegan is getting good looks from three on a nightly basis, and he is bricking them. And you go back to last night, too. Keegan missed a couple. Well, he banked in a three-pointer in the fourth quarter of that comeback against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's lucky it went in because that shot looked off. But that was after he airballed a corner three. And that's like the second corner three he's airballed, I think, during this homestand. Keegan just this season offensively, at least shooting the basketball, has not looked good. Now, this has been a problem for more than just Keegan on this Kings team so far. But other guys are starting to figure it out and work their way through it. And Keegan, quite frankly, has not. And on nights when you have DeRozan and you have Sabonis, you're willing to kind of forgive Keegan a little bit more. Like, Keegan did not shoot the ball well last night. He still had 14 points. The Kings would have loved to have had more from him, but 14 points plus the defense that he was adding, it was enough to have the Kings in the game. Certainly reasons to be critical. But tonight, where the Kings straight up needed everybody to step up, especially offensively with the amount of scoring that the Kings were lacking because of their injuries. And Keegan Murray straight laid an egg, and at times he was just straight up tentative, afraid to shoot the basketball, not even looking for a shot, not even looking to score. Now, I give the Utah Jazz credit with how they were defending Keegan at times, but he has to be more aggressive. And this has been a criticism towards him over the last, or over all 3 seasons of his career to this point. But the difference is, as a rookie and a sophomore, you're kind of figuring things out. Now that you're in your 3rd season, you should have things at least figured out a little bit more and have a little more confidence to demand your shots and go and get your shots. For the most part this season, he has done that. Tonight, he did not do that well at all, and quite frankly, it nearly cost the Kings the game. If the Kings had lost this game, and there was a time when they were down by 11 points to Utah in the 3rd quarter, there was a time where I thought, God, I'm really going to have to drag Keegan through the mud on this podcast because the Kings lost because he didn't show up offensively. Again, he still did good things on the defensive end, still grabbed, 6 rebounds. But the Kings needed offense from Keegan Murray, and he didn't show up. He didn't deliver. And it's frustrating, and I know it's concerning for Kings fans who are hoping for a year 3 leap from him. And let's not do, I swear if I see this in the comment section, I'm going to lose my mind. Let's not do the idiotic, lazy belief that, DeMar DeRozan being here is hurting Keegan Murray's development. Hell no. DeMar DeRozan didn't play tonight. DeMar DeRozan didn't play last night. Keegan struggled offensively these last 2 nights. Every single game this season, Keegan Murray has gotten good looks, and unfortunately from three-point range, more often than not, he's missing them. He's shooting around 30%, maybe even under 30% from three-point range at this point. He needs to figure that out. The Kings need him to figure that out. I was not feeling good about Keegan Murray during the game. After the Kings won the game and we got into post-game, I felt a little bit better, and I got the opportunity to ask both Mike Brown and DeAaron Fox about Keegan and the focus on other areas and the impact that that's having on his offense and his shooting. And Mike Brown and DeAaron Fox provided some really good perspective. Take a listen. Mike, going back to Keegan, I know he has a lot of assignments outside of just scoring the basketball, especially on the defensive end, challenging him with rebounding as well. We're still waiting for the three-point shooting from even his rookie season to, I guess, make a more consistent reappearance. Is there any truth to the emphasizing other areas taking away from that at all, or are you just chalking it up to just a slow start to a season?
He's a very, very good shooter. The one thing that everybody has to remember, his rookie year, he was strictly a catch-and-shoot guy, so he didn't have to think much. And then on top of that, we didn't always put him on the best perimeter player. Now he's got marketing. Excuse me. He's got Book. He's got somebody of that caliber every single night. And then we're asking him to rebound. We're asking him to run the floor. There's a lot we're asking him to do. On top of that, he's growing. He's growing his game. And so no longer is he just going to sit in the corner and wait and catch and shoot from the three-point line. He's going to take some other shots, and to a certain degree, we have to live with it some while he continues to grow and get his legs and his mind and everything underneath him.
I was curious your perspective on this because you've been asked to do more and more and more as every year of your career has gone on. Keegan is being asked to do more and more and more, and he's drifted away from the pure catch-and-shoot guy that he was as a rookie, but his shooting numbers have also kind of steadily dropped off to a slow start this season. What's your perspective on trying to balance the things that you're being asked with a skill set that you know you have, and on a night like tonight, could you really use?
Well, I think it's a lot different now because like we're asking Keegan to do a lot for us, especially defensively. I feel like naturally, if you weren't doing those things before, and then now you're asked to do those things, those take a lot out of you, and definitely take out of your ability to be able to shoot the ball. But I think another big part of that is the way that people guard him. Like people are trying to run him off the line, not let him get those type of looks, and that's where you have to expand your game. Like if you can't get those, if teams are taking that shot away, what else can you do? And I think he's put in countless hours and working on his craft, and I think his game is continuing to grow. But like I said, like we're asking so much of him on the other end. Like he's guarding the best player every single night. Like that's not an easy thing to do. You see guys like Jimmy and Kawhi and PG have done that over the years. Like that's not easy. But he's going to continue to grow. I mean, he's in year 3. He has a high ceiling, and we're going to continue to ask him to do more. But that's hard. Basketball can be a simple sport, but it's not as easy as people may think it is.
Another guy that I unfortunately have to talk negatively about, Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis tonight was really rough. I think Keon Ellis is in the doghouse a little bit. 0 points, 0 of 1 shooting from the field, 2 turnovers in 10 minutes. Keon Ellis only getting 10 minutes on a night where the Kings were missing the names that they were missing, considering how important he was to the Kings last season. Like, it takes me back to last night. Mike Brown kind of called Keon Ellis out. He called out Keon Ellis for passing up an open 3 down the stretch of that Kings T-Wolves game, which is one of the reasons why the Kings lost. Or maybe he would have made the shot, maybe he would have missed the shot, who knows. But Mike Brown is all about, if you have an open shot, take it, because you're not going to get a better one. And Keon was kind of afraid of the moment and passed them up last night. So what did we see tonight? The first guys off the bench for the Kings guard-wise were Jordan McLaughlin and Mason Jones. And then Keon Ellis barely plays. And when he does, he's fouling. He's not taking care of the basketball. Barely really looking to shoot. Keon Ellis was playing really, really rough tonight. And I'm not saying that his spot in the rotation is in jeopardy yet, but he's got to be careful. He's got to be careful because the way he's been playing over this homestand at least, it's not great. And there are some guards, there are some names on this roster that are chomping at the bit that will happily gobble up some of those minutes if they become available. Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle all the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. That's FanDuel, the sportsbook app that gives you everything that you need to place your live bets on the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, college sports, all in one place. So when you get the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. One of the things I really appreciate about having this podcast is it gives me a platform to talk about things that I'm passionate about. And I wanted to make sure I took time on the podcast tonight to talk about this because it's on my mind and heavy on my heart tonight. First off, when it comes to Kings jerseys and the colors that they wear, I'm a bit of an old man because I like the purple. Stick with the purple. I feel like since Nike took over the jerseys and we see these new jerseys every single year, the Sacramento Kings try harder and harder and harder to get away from the purple. And I hate it. Purple, gray, black, these are your colors. Stick with them. Right? I've been very much an old man about that over the years and proud of it. That being said, these blue jerseys tonight are kind of fire. I'm not gonna lie. Like, these blue jerseys, I might buy one. And that would be a first. I've never bought a Kings jersey or a Kings. That's not true. I bought one sweatshirt from like the baby blue, but it was because it was a Sacktown sweatshirt. But that's different. That doesn't count. I've never bought a Kings jersey that wasn't the purple, the white, the black, or the gray. But these jerseys are nice. Really nice. So you got me there. You got me to budge a little bit. I still definitely prefer purple. But the blues were nice, and I can admit that. But again, there's something weighing heavy on my heart tonight. Rest in peace, Royale. Gone way too soon. Never given a chance, really. If you're not familiar, Royale is the mascot that the Sacramento Kings announced with their blue and red City Edition jerseys, paying homage to kind of the Cincinnati days of this organization. If you haven't seen a picture of Royale, I'll actually put one up on screen here. If you're watching on YouTube, audio listeners, you'll just have to Google it and look it up. Don't show it to your children because it'll probably scare the crap out of them. I think Royale's misunderstood. You ever heard of that term, the resting bee face, right? Like every once in a while, maybe you have it. and you're a nice person, but people look at you and think that you're mean just because they're looking at you, or maybe you have a significant other that has it, and you have to constantly remind them, hey, smile a little bit because you look like you want to kill something. Like, I think, like, Royale might have had that. Okay, or maybe Royale's smile just looked like he was a villain from a Batman cartoon. But he's misunderstood. He never got a chance. Royale never got a chance. And it's because of two people. One, DeAaron Fox. Actually, let's say make three people. One by proxy. One, DeAaron Fox. The by proxy is Sean Cunningham from Fox 40. Because Sean Cunningham asked DeAaron Fox at shoot-around before the Minnesota Timberwolves game about Royale and showed Fox a picture of Royale, and Fox was not feeling Royale, and that shut it down for everybody. Right? That shut it down completely. I know for a fact, I have been told by people who are in the Kings organization that the plan was for Royale to be a mascot for the Sacramento Kings on all of their nights where they wear their City Edition jersey. And after Fox's response, that got cut. That got axed. So I blame DeAaron Fox. I blame Sean Cunningham by proxy. And I blame Slamson. Because I don't know if you were in the arena, you saw the video that they played. I think the video's out there. I even put the video up on my social media, at Matt George Sack on Twitter. You can see it there. Or you can also see it on my Blue Sky account that I have now, at Matt George Sack there too. Slamson apparently met Royale, and I guess Slamson is an only child like myself and doesn't like to share, including the spotlight, because Slamson had Royale stuffed in a crate and shipped back to Cincinnati or shipped somewhere outside of Sacramento. Again, I think it's a shame. I think Royale never got a chance. In fact, I'm convinced that if Royale had actually made an appearance tonight, the Kings would have won by 30, and Fox would have had 75 points. That's the magic. That's the belief that I have in Royale. And look, shame on all of you Sacramento Kings fans who were here inside the Golden One Center and booed when Royale showed up on the screen. Shame on you, judging a man, judging a mascot, judging a basketball, evil-looking basketball by his physical appearance. Shame on you. We're better than that, Sacramento. Poor Royale never got a chance. He deserved a chance. And now, like, it's one thing to look evil. Now you've made the evil-looking thing your enemy. Right? Royale hates Sacramento now. This is the perfect origin story of a villain arc. Have you learned nothing from movies and TV? This is how you turn a misunderstood mascot man thing into an evil villain. The curse of Royale, I'm telling you, maybe the Kings avoided it tonight, but the curse of Royale may come to bite the Sacramento Kings in the wrong time. And I'm just telling you that. I'm just saying, if it happens, I told you so. Because Royale looks terrifying. Look, Royale, if you decide to come back and seek your revenge on Sacramento, just understand I was an ally. I was in your corner. I was with you, Royale. I was there with you. I wanted to see you. I wanted you to be a part of what we were doing here in Sacramento. I didn't boo. I wasn't upset that you were going to be a part of this. I like you. Don't hurt me or my kid or my family or my basketball team, please. On a serious note, the officiating was a joke tonight. Like, really bad. And I'm not just talking the calls. Calls on both sides were bad. There were calls against the Sacramento Kings that were egregious. There were calls against the Utah Jazz that were egregious. The officiating tonight was bad. Really, really bad. But what made this feel like one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of games, and no, we don't have to bring up 2002, what happened in 2002. That's a separate category. The refs did not have control over this game. And it's not like they were losing control and players were fighting and fans were getting on the floor and blah, blah, blah. Like, the amount of stoppages that we had for the referees just to come together and have a conversation because they looked like deer in the headlights. Like, what the hell is going on? Why is the time clock like this? What was the call? Should we change the call? Did you see it? I didn't see it. I don't know what happened. Let's just call it this. Oh, it's not really that. There were 2 wrong calls within the span of literal seconds. And thank God Mike Brown had his challenge still, because initially one was called out of bounds off of DeAaron Fox. When Fox was so clearly fouled across the arm, everybody in this arena saw it. Everybody saw it. And the officials didn't. So Mike challenges the play. Call is overturned. Fox goes to the free throw line. I think makes one of two free throws, or I don't remember what happened. Second free throw, he misses. Right? Ball comes out of bounds, clearly off of Utah. Clearly off of Utah. They call it jazz ball. Mike Brown reviews it again. You look at the tape. Maybe, just maybe, the officials thought that the ball hit the foot of Jordan McLaughlin before going out of bounds. But they turn that call around and get that right too. Thank God, because those are back-to-back calls literally within a span of like a second of game time that they got wrong. It could have had drastic impacts on the game. Mike Brown wins both those. I don't know. I don't know if that's ever been done in the NBA before. I know the challenge is still relatively new, but winning two challenges in the span of literally like a second or two of game time, that's got to be a first in the NBA. Congratulations to Mike Brown, who is notoriously bad when it comes to challenges. But to make matters worse, after the Kings won the second challenge, right, and it was out of bounds, Kings ball goes out of bounds on the baseline, so what do? You inbound the ball at the same spot that the ball went out of bounds on the baseline. The official starts walking DeAaron Fox over to the sideline to have him inbound, like by the corner three. And Fox is looking at the official going, what are you doing? The ball went out of bounds over here. I need to inbound the ball over here. DeAaron Fox was literally telling the officials where to inbound the ball. You can't make this crap up. That was the officiating tonight. It was that crazy. It was that bad. It was very, very silly. Hopefully the refs will be better on Monday. The Kings get a much-deserved day off tomorrow. I don't think they're practicing. I don't think they're doing anything. I don't want DeAaron Fox to get out of bed. Just sleep for 24 hours, DeAaron. Get some rest. Kings off tomorrow. They'll host the Atlanta Hawks on Monday. No word on if Domantas Sabonis or DeMar DeRozan are going to be playing in those games. I have a feeling that at least DeRozan, maybe both of them, will not play because after Monday night's game, the Kings are off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 3 days off before they go to the Intuit Dome for the first time to play the Los Angeles Clippers. I believe that is an in-season tournament or NBA Cup game. So it wouldn't surprise me if both Sabonis and DeRozan got an extra game's rest and then got that extended time off to get their backs right and be ready to go for that NBA Cup game and the remainder of the season. Because back injuries, they're no joke, right? Especially for a big man like De'Aaron Fox or a 35-year-old player like DeMar DeRozan. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Kings decide to rest both of those. All right, you've heard me blab enough. You want to talk about Fox's 49-point performance? Let it fly. You want to talk about Keegan's struggles? Let's talk about it. You want to talk about Royale? Let's talk about Royale. I appreciate your support. As always, got to meet a handful of you at the game here tonight. You know who you are. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for your support. If you're coming to games in the future, top of Section 105, come by and see me. I'd love to chat with you, say hi in person, and express my gratitude to you for supporting this podcast as much as you have. Appreciate your support. Can't wait to have you join me on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.